Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi business. Hello everyone and welcome. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Press a button.
Are we live?
Press a button. ये नहीं चल रहा. Thing. Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Tuesday, December 16, 2025 and I'm Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Wert Badawi. And for today's headlines, we're going to discuss how, firstly, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is reportedly set to buy the football team Barcelona for 10 billion euros. And Jared Kushner has pulled out of the Trump Tower Belgrade project with Alabbar's Eagle Hills, and Abu Dhabi-based international holding company has increased its stake in Invictus trading company, the firm backed by Sudan's richest family.
It's such nice weather out here today in the UAE. There's expectation of rains, I think, throughout the week.
I'm not looking forward to the rain.
Yeah, no one is.
What
I
were
think
you gonna
after the April one, no one is. But I want to know this small thing. Like in Pakistan, we have this and I think in the Asian culture, Ujjwal can agree to it. Whenever there is rain, there needs to be pakoras and tea.
Oh my God,
Even
yes.
if it rains in the morning, evening, night, whenever it rains, it's like a cultural thing where we need the pakoras and tea. Do you have this
Oh, imagine
in UAE?
us,
Because you've lived in UAE, but your culture as well?
For us, it's all year. It's literally all year. For Sudanese culture, it's all year long. 7 p.m. is like our tea time.
Oh.
And it's all the time. You can have it in the morning, in the evening. Like, it does not stop. It does not go away.
But since you're a foodie, what is the, I would say, equivalent of, have you had pakoras? Like
Of course.
What is
I
the
love
equivalent
them.
to pakoras in the Emirati culture or in Sudanese culture?
In Sudanese culture.
What would you eat? Like
trying to
with,
think.
like English have their tea biscuits, right?
We actually have biscuits, and we call them minin.
Oh, nice.
And we make them. You can actually get the equivalent of them from this Egyptian place. It's called sal sucre. So you can get it from there, but my mom bakes them all the time. But for the pakuras, you know where I actually get them from? There's a very famous souk in Dubai. It's called Souk Knife. And I think there's also another one. But whenever I go with my mom, I obviously don't go anymore. There really is no time. We always go there. We get the karak tea and we get the pakuras from there.
Yeah, so it's rain season. If you're here, if you're in the Middle East, if you're in the UAE, I think this is the best time to enjoy the weather. Already, it's, I think, a little cold out here. But let's move on to our first story of the day. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is reportedly preparing a £10 billion bid to acquire FC Barcelona, the Catalonians, the Spanish giants, according to media reports. And to be honest, a lot of people have covered it as the Spanish club struggles with mounting financial pressure and long-term debt challenges.
So Barcelona's debt has reportedly climbed above 2.5 billion euros, making repayments increasingly difficult and fueling speculation about external capital. Now, the proposed bid would, in theory, raise liabilities and inject fresh funding into the club's operations.
And however, the deal faces a major structural obstacle. Barcelona is owned by its members, known as socios, and the club's governance model legally bars outright sale to foreign individuals or external entities.
Now, that ownership structure means any takeover would require sweeping constitutional changes and approval from members, making a full acquisition highly complex, regardless of the size of any proposed financial package.
And Saudi Arabia has significantly expanded its global sports footprint. We talk about it a lot, and the main proponent behind it is Public Investment Fund, the PIF, the Saudi PIF, and it includes the 409 million acquisition of Newcastle United in 2021, an English Premier League club that also faced a lot of scrutiny because foreign investment into a English product again, and an undisclosed amount paid for the minority stake of around 8% in the Aston Martin Formula One team. highlighting Riyadh's growing influence in global sport. Apart from that, they also own Live Golf. Saudi PIF started it with one of the legends of golf, and Live Golf gave competition to PGA Tour. PGA Tour is the biggest tour in the world for golf. They have Live Golf. They have so many investments in football, minority, big, small. They sponsor so many teams. Aramco is a sponsor of Ansar Martin.
But there's an error in this story that Majid was telling me about. Are you going to tell them? We need
The
to tell
socios,
them.
right? It's a concept where the fans own the club. I don't know the structure behind it. I just know it from footballing terms and footballing conversations that socios have to allow. So the fans of the club have to allow it. I don't think the fans would allow it, but there is like 1% chance where it can actually happen. Why? Because there is this thing that Barcelona has been through a very rough patch recently. They had to sell their famous Camp Nou naming rights to, I think, Spotify. So Spotify Camp Nou sounds very weird, but they sold it to somehow make up for the losses. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, actually. Even if there is like 0.1% chance, I wouldn't be surprised. The only thing that you see when an owner wants to come in is their past record. Newcastle United, as soon as Saudi took over, the whole consortium, Saudi PIF is the majority owner, but there was a whole consortium behind it. There's a woman, I think, Word did a story about her. She's very famous for doing these takeovers in sports industry. But whenever Saudi has entered someone through partnerships, through investment, they have done good. Newcastle United, they won the FA Cup recently, their first trophy in like over a decade, I think. More than a decade, I think. So people will see that they have a good track record. We can talk about PSG, Qatar, when they invested in PSG. PSG was one of the most famous football clubs in France, but somehow they became better. They could, when PSG came, they signed Neymar, they signed Messi, they signed the famous duo of Suarez, Messi and Neymar, MSN. They signed Mbappe. They could basically capital allowed them to sign star players.
This is what I mean, Majid. I feel like they're not living in that golden age anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not the same, and it does not exist. Like I'll never forget when I was a kid and my dad would put on a match of Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Yeah.
Like that was that golden age
El
of having
Clásico.
those like prime players all in the same field, and it's not there anymore. But I think for me, what stood out to me the most is, some people might jump in, some analysts might jump in and basically say that, once again, it's Saudi Arabia sports washing. But I think in this case, Saudi Arabia does not need this football club. We've just seen how their GDP, their money, it's gone above $330 billion. That's over 1 trillion riyals. And their economy, it's flourishing.
Yes.
It's doing great. But what's actually crazy is right now, another football story that's actually ongoing, that's actually going to happen. It's 100% confirmed. It's that the Saudi billionaire, the Saudi prince Al-Walid bin Talal, the chairman of Kingdom Holding, is in his final stages of acquiring Al Hilal, the Saudi football club, for $2 billion. Yes. This is Barcelona we're talking about, and it's going to be acquired for 2 billion euros. That's
10 billion.
Oh, 10 billion. Oh, 10 billion.
Yeah.
I don't know why that number was like lost on me, but it's when you actually compare these numbers, a club like this and Al Hilal, in the same field, it's so interesting because it's almost as if these Saudi football clubs that nobody really believed in, they're going upward, they're going forward, they're advancing, and you see that these Western clubs, not really. And I think, to be honest with you, we constantly talk about it, but I really do think Ronaldo coming to Saudi Arabia triggered this.
I think we should talk about someone who recently came. Worth would have loved the story. She shared a clip. Cardi B was in Saudi Arabia.
I'm so obsessed.
It's a little off topic from business, but I'll explain you how it makes business sense to an extent. Yesterday, Shaira, my wife, she wrote an article and I was just reading it. She's like, just read it once if it makes sense. And she made a very nice point, which is very obvious to a lot of people. A lot of people who you now see in Saudi Arabia going, you don't see them reading out scripted words. Ronaldo, the last time I saw him speak was at Tourize 2025. It's a hospitality tourism event They just started. It was a very nice event. We shared clips of Ronaldo saying that he loves the place. Wherever he goes, he gets a lot of love from the fans, obviously. But there are secret places, like hidden spots in Saudi Arabia, where he goes, where no one comes to him for a selfie, and he can enjoy his peace. Likewise, so that's unscripted for you. He is sharing his very non-scripted experience, right? And Cardi B, to be honest, I didn't look at all the videos, to be honest. Not a Cardi B fan, but I saw the clips, like how she didn't challenge the culture there. She actually went and respected the culture, and it's a very nice thing. A lot of people, whenever they go to Saudi, Qatar, UAE, they start questioning like, oh, why is this, what is this, or the human rights record, or this and that. Recently we had a whole fiasco where there was a Riyadh comedy festival, if I'm right. It was in Saudi, and a lot of Westerners, the famous ones, they came and they got a lot of flack from their own media for going to Saudi Arabia and doing a comedy festival. And a lot of them came out and they were like, we went there, we cracked jokes and everyone laughed. No one came with that daggers and swords to kill us. So they painted a very nice human picture of Saudi, which a lot of people in the world, the Western world, don't want everyone to see. That Saudi Arabia is comprised of human beings. They're comprised of now, I think, 60 to 70% young people who want entertainment, who want these stand-up comedy festivals, who want Cardi B to perform, who want Ronaldo to perform in the stadium. There's a whole new generation, and also the Saudi Crown Prince himself is a young at heart person. He loves gaming. Do you expect a crown prince, sitting crown prince of the biggest economy in the Middle East, openly talking about his gaming, like, I love these games, right? So we have seen this change, which is now very prominent, and the Western media is still trying to hide it somewhere.
No, but hold up though. At the same time though, Majid, listen, Cardi B is trying to get her money. Cardi B knows,
she is.
Listen, Cardi B knows exactly where she is. I was watching this interview with Yasser Al-Rumayyan. I think he was in America. And I think it was with the Economic Club, I believe that's the name. But basically, the guy was asking him, the interviewer, oh man, I really wish I remembered his name.
David Rubenstein one.
Yeah.
You shared the clip, I remember.
He was asking him, he was like, so listen, man, like, you have to tell me, do people come up to you? We're going to have Cardi B performing there.
Yeah.
And she was aware of this. And I think that she's an extremely smart artist for this. I want these people to invite me back. You know, it's kind of like you remember when the Ambanis, they threw their insanely lavish wedding in India, and who did they have come perform? Rihanna and
everyone
Justin Bieber.
Was there. Yeah.
So it's like, and their paycheck, it was like millions of dollars. So Cardi B is aware. Whatever Saudi crown prince, whatever, princess saw her there is like, I want this woman at my wedding. And she had a chance. And no, seriously, she had a chance. She knew where she was. She was aware. And she was like, I need to make this count. And I'm proud of her for it. It's an opportunity and you have to take it.
It's smart business, I would say. But to be honest, I've started seeing that beforehand, to be honest, a lot of people say that there's controlled media and no one can do this and that and blah and blah. But these people with their reactions have shown us the softer side of Saudi Arabia. UAE has been on this for like a decade now. But all these people saying stuff about Saudi Arabia, my main point is she's very smart with this business. 100% agree with you on that. But they have shown her, us and the Western world, which is more important, we already know, but the Western world, that there is a softer side of Saudi Arabia. It's not just all beheadings and all that thing that everyone talks about, right? It's also normal people enjoying a concert, enjoying halal B, not Cardi B. And, right? The word everyone is using halal B. So everyone needs to know that Middle East is not just dictatorships, as Claude guy said, CEO said. It's normal people trying to live a normal life. There is rules. Every country has rules. France has a abaya ban. Whoever goes to France doesn't wear an abaya. They abide by the rules. So if there is a need for covering your head in a country, in a Middle Eastern country, why wouldn't you abide by it? You're in that country. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So when you're in Middle East, respect the culture, respect the clothing laws, respect the language laws, Respect everything that the culture is giving you. And to be honest, I've realized you enjoy it more. I would go to, for example, if someday I go to Sudan, I would definitely come to you and be like, what do I do and what do I not do, right? I was going to Georgia. I asked a few friends. I asked my brother who went to Georgia. I was like, what do I do and what do I not do? So he told me don't tip anyone because they don't like tips.
Was it the burping? I remember he told me something about
Yeah,
that.
so there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of when you go to a certain country. And I was happy that she was there and she was like enjoying herself, whatever way she was, and making smart business decisions that they called me back again.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I saw a softer side of Saudi Arabia. I've been to the country only 8 days. I have a different version of what I saw. But all these people are showing you that it's not just the things that West shows you. It's a whole lot different story when you actually go to the country, the hospitality, everything.
You know what I also think it is, Majid? I think that so many of these claims that are made by Western media, they're laden with so much hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw it in the story. There was a story I did early on in the year, and it was basically about the American outlet, the American podcast, The Town, which is a really great podcast, by the way. And basically, they made claims that Bob Iger had basically vetoed a decision to build a Disneyland in Saudi Arabia.
I remember the story.
And then they specifically started critiquing the upcoming Disneyland that we have in Dhabi. I honestly think that it truly is the story of the year.
Yeah.
And they basically they said that they don't allow gay people and it was very specific. But I think what was interesting about everything that they were saying is that they completely managed to forget the fact that basically in 2022 there was this case of this bill in Florida that was passed that had to do with gay people. And at that time, the then CEO of Disney, I believe his name is Bob Chapek, he got in trouble with the employees because he basically said nothing. He basically said nothing, and his silence was essentially for the bill that they were all very much so against. So I think in this case, it's almost like rather than being so busy critiquing other leaders whose rules and religions don't necessarily impact you, you should go hard on your own people.
Yeah.
And you should call out the past there. So I think that's something very important to note there.
Just show the softer side of these countries. They have a lot of culture.
don't even
Birth
think
comes
it's
from
about-
this culture. It's very hospitable. They're very nice people. They'll invite you in their home. They'll make you sit in the most comfortable couch. They'll serve you the best tea and whatever not. They'll give you the best treatment. You just have to respect their culture. Like
You do.
you would expect, right?
And right now, Mohammed Al-Abbar's plans are not really working out in Europe. Now, plans by Mohammed Al-Abbar, the Amar chairman, and Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law, to develop Trump Tower, Belgrade, have been abandoned after Kushner's private equity firm, Affinity Partners, withdrew from the project amid the mounting controversy in Serbia.
And the project, backed by Alabbar Eagle Hills, and was to transform the former Yugoslav Ministry of Defense site into a Trump-branded luxury hotel and residential complex under a 99-year lease held by Affinity. However,
So Affinity's withdrawal follows the indictment of Serbia's culture minister, Nikola Selakovic, and
Selakovic.
3 other officials accused of falsifying documents and exerting undue influence to remove the site's protected status.
And in a statement, Affinity said it was stepping aside out of respect for the people of Serbia, adding that meaningful projects should unite rather than divide. The estimated $500 million development had sparked sustained protests in Belgrade.
Now, despite Belgrade's setback, Alabbar's Eagle Hills remains active globally, while Affinity continues pursuing major deals, including backing the $108 billion Paramount Skydance bid for Warner Bros. Discovery, Bloomberg has reported. Listen, one thing I love about Mohammed Al-Abbar is he does not give up.
Yeah.
He definitely does not give up. In fact, very recently, we saw that a specific story has made headlines, and Eagle Hills is basically a part of this very large real estate project in Italy to basically revamp the Roman barracks.
Yeah.
And I think he also bought his own villa there. So He definitely does not give up, but I think with these projects in Europe, we've definitely seen that he has had a lot of setbacks there, and it didn't just start with this project here with Jared Kushner. In fact, I remember he basically tried to build this like mini Dubai in Budapest, and the officials had pushed back. I remember there was news of him buying the land there, but then he had to. There was a lot that went into that process, but the officials basically pushed back. And I remember watching this interview with him, Majid, and you know what he said? And honestly, he said it in the best way possible. He said, if Europe would like to build with me, I will build with it. But the problem is, when I come build with it, they're like, okay, but like, what's going to happen to like the grasshoppers? And you know what and that seriously, that seriously is what happens. And listen, that is not to undermine the impact of climate action. Climate action is really important, but it's to say that their laws and regulations, they're either completely unnecessary or they move too slow with regulations.
There's bureaucracy. That is why one of the reasons that everyone is hating on Europe right now, even people who are there and who've moved here, everyone is like, to get one thing approved, you need to go through like 10 departments, 15 forms and this and that, because you need to get this approval and that approval. I think, to be honest, to an extent, bureaucracy is fine. I also believe in systems, but they should be expedited processes. It shouldn't be like it should take 1 year to just change the door of your house. Like, oh, is it the same color? No, it's a different tone. You can't do it. There's just community. This happens. You see a lot of Western shows, and to be honest, they're full of these funny quirks that, oh, just to do this, I have to do this. Or I am building a swimming pool in my backyard. It's my backyard, I pay for it. But no, I need to take my neighbor's permission because they have kids. And what if they jump in and they go in the pool and they sink? And there's like 1 million things that you go through. I think more bureaucracy in Europe is coming because of the lack of systems already which are in place. In Dubai, you have system for everything. Expedited processes, get a license for anything in maximum a week.
You can get married on an app.
Yeah, so everything is so digitally convenient, one. Two, it's very clearly stated laws. Within the laws, you can do whatever you want without, like outside of the law, you can't even move like 1 millimeter or micrometer. That is, I think, what separates now the UAE, Middle East, Saudi Arabia to an extent, Qatar 100% from Europe. There was a time when Europe was very good with this. They had laws, they were the first movers in identifying the problems, then their solutions, digitizing stuff. But they made the technology and then they got lost somewhere. And now, using the same ideas, the same laws, the same everything, Dubai, Middle East, UAE, Saudi Arabia, they're moving forward. So I think Europe is lost somewhere. Again, this is also Mr. Alabbar's verse that Europe is lost somewhere. Also, I think Trump's son, Trump Jr., his exact words also at FII, that Europe has lost its way. Everyone who talks about Europe, or even to an extent America also, they say that they've lost their way towards innovation and being the best in the world in everything. It's these Middle Eastern countries who are taking the lead, and that is why I think everyone is moving here. We always talk about the money that is here. We always talk about the opportunity. We always talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, that, oh, these countries actually push you to become an entrepreneur. But we very seldom talk about that the leadership is there. You need good leadership to have all these things.
It definitely is leadership, and it kind of brought me back to this thought process of, do you maybe think it's because of the fact that they have so much freedom of speech? And like, bear with me when I mention this, I think that they almost sometimes get way too caught up with protesting that processes have to stop. I have one of my friends, and she lives in Italy, and she tells me how when protests are happening, it's like the absolute worst day for her. She struggles to commute to university. She struggles to get anywhere. Hey, listen, protests are amazing. I'm all for it. It's just more of the fact of, do you think because they're constantly, caught up with those protests and trying to actually change things, that it almost becomes all talk and literally no action? And with the UAE, Majid, how quickly things have actually moved, I think a huge sign of this is the change, the progress that's happening in Ras Al Khaimah right now with the Wynn Casino, which specifically came from Las Vegas. It's going to be completed in 2027.
Yeah.
This project was announced I think 2 years ago, and for it to move this quickly, to be built this quickly, you can see the evidence online.
Yeah.
It's going to be, the UAE and the Middle East's first gaming division. For them to have achieved this quickly is telling you that the laws and regulation here is set up in a really established way.
It's pretty clear from the start. That's the good thing. Even if they change the law, they recently changed corporate law, they recently changed tax law. As soon as the changes are done, you get a press release, you get announcements everywhere, everywhere. It's not hidden or this and that. On the point of protest, I'll give you an example. We had this one Australian lady who married a Pakistani guy. She worked in Pakistan in my office. And one day we were talking about protests. So there was this very interesting learning I got from her idea. So according to her, we were talking about a protest in Karachi, because in Karachi, in Pakistan, a protest is very reactive. It's never proactive. So a reactive, it's a very funny finding from all of it. Reactive protest is when you already see a road broken and then you're like, oh, this happened. Or for 3 weeks, you won't have electricity in your area, and then you finally react and all the people of the area come out on the road and they block the road and make everyone's life hell, because their life was hell for 3 weeks. And then eventually someone notices and something happens. Then I was talking to her and I was like, what happens in Australia? And she's like, we have this whole ground for us in front of every city's mayor's office. So if we want to protest about something, we just go there, we silently protest, we write down a manifesto of what we want.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh yeah, we never do that. We just go sit, have some banners and start shouting. She's like, yeah, you want to protest, you can go sit in that ground, write a manifesto, and you won't even have to shout. We will just give that manifesto that we want these things. Proactive protests. Like this, we think the traffic is going to be bad soon because there's a new mall opening here. So all these things in developed countries, protests are more proactive. They already gauge, they're living in a community, they see that something is happening and they go and already know that this might come. So what is your solution? So proactive and reactive protests. Underdeveloped countries like mine, I think to an extent yours, the protests, 100%,
you can say
they are reactive protests. The good thing about Middle East, to be honest, in UAE, they allow you to protest, but it's a very systemic way. They have an app or WhatsApp, you just send them a picture of, oh, there's a pothole here, and you drive by in the evening back to your home and it'll be filled. So they moved that ground thing in Australia to an app or a WhatsApp group, right? In their for example, if it was going to rain in Australia and they know that the roads might be flooded or the drains need cleaning, they would go present it, the mayors be like, oh yeah, they're right. So the government and the people work together. You see that in UAE also. It's not them working against each other, like trying to take the money of cleaning and putting him into their pockets like in our countries it happens. So both of them work for the same motive, that, oh, we need to make life easy. For government, how is life easy? The government can't be on every single street, right? You are on every single street, so you point out the problems.
I think also what's really interesting about the UAE leadership and governments is that for their specific investments, it's divided into so many companies across all of the cities, across different excellencies. And specifically right now, an investment vehicle that is making a extremely huge impact is International Holding Company. Essentially, Abu Dhabi-based International Holding Company, otherwise known as IHC, has paid nearly 420 million dirhams, which is about $114 million, to increase its stake in Invictus investment company. It's strengthening its exposure to the global agri-food commodities sector.
And the transaction lifts IHC's ownership in Invictus to 40% from 20%, according to a filing with Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange, reinforcing the group's position in food security and commodities trading.
Now, Invictus was established in 2014 in the UAE by Amir Dawood Abdul Latif as a joint venture between Sudan's Dal Group and Abu Dhabi-based investors, building a global trading platform headquartered in Dubai.
And the company leverages Sudanese commodity networks alongside Emirati capital to trade products including grains, sugar, oilseeds, and animal feed, anchoring supply chains across Africa and the Middle East.
Now, Dal Group is chaired by Sudanese billionaire Osama Dawood Abdul Latif, and it is Sudan's largest conglomerate ran by Sudan's richest family. In fact, operating Mercedes-Benz, Kia, Mitsubishi, and Caterpillar franchises, and serving as the country's sole Coca-Cola bottler, providing Invictus with deep regional reach. I think with this entire story, Majid, I have two perspectives on this. The first one is that IHC, their CEO, Shoaib, came a while ago and told the Financial Times that we have a very specific investment strategy in place for 18 months. And that strategy is to essentially divest from companies, non-important minority stakes that are worth, I believe, $20 to $28 billion. So they're going to do that every single 18 months. And while they're divesting from these companies, they also said that they're going to be making investments from about $30 to $38 billion. So this investment over here, them raising their stake in this company from 20 to 40%, is under that umbrella, that aim that they have, and they've gone ahead with it. They've had really successful mergers that have come up. I think it was with 3 companies specifically. The second perspective that I have on this is, you know, that the Dawood family, they're extremely famous in Sudan. You know, some Sudanese people would argue that they're almost above the government because of how much wealth that they have actually amassed. Those franchises that they have, by the way, they are the first to have them in Sudan and to keep them for as long as they did. But I think also with this entire story, Majid, and I think we don't mention this enough, but it's so important to have overseas revenue. And this is something that the Dawood family has done because, you know, right now, in business discussions, a story that is really taking center stage is the weakening dollar. The fact that onto 2026, the dollar is going to be further weakened. And many analysts have come and said that for the large conglomerates that are being ran around the world, you're going to be successful if you have overseas revenue. And I think with large companies I've specifically seen that have that overseas revenue, I would say are Microsoft, Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson. You know, there's a lot of large conglomerates that run really successful businesses abroad and here in the Middle East. But going back to my point on this company, Dal Group, Invictus Trading, which is basically a subsidiary, I believe, of Dal Group, you need to have overseas revenue to not just offset against the weakened dollar, but to actually offset against wars. And I think that this is not discussed enough. Often you hear a lot of people, Majid, and I think that a lot of immigrants can relate to this, who have lost their wealth because of wars in their countries. You should not pool all of your capital in one place. And I think I remember there was one specific billionaire who said this, and it was Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, who also became an Emirati citizen. He does not even stay in one location, does he? He does not keep his wealth in one location, and that's something so important. And I think what they've managed to do is, from setting up this company here in the UAE, they've found a way to keep their wealth, to actually maintain it, because a lot of people struggle. It's a Sudanese company. What's happening right now in Sudan is, it's completely horrifying. Over 14 million Sudanese people have been displaced. Over 20 people are living in acute hunger, mass starvation, and so it's the entire topic. Imagine, honestly, I cannot even discuss it. I don't even like discussing it. I find it horrifying. But it's this fact of, they've done something really smart here, and they found a way to make sure that they're making revenue overseas, which is so important.
Because, see, the first point, conversion. A lot of people who work in Middle East would understand that You can do the same job in Pakistan. If you're passionate about something, you can do the same job in Pakistan. But the payment here and payment there, the savings that you make here in Pakistani currency is actually your pay in Pakistan. So conversion helps a lot thanks to this. And a lot of big companies, they do move out of their company and into other countries because they can sell their product for a higher price, obviously get investment and earn in dollars or any other countries, which is better than their own currency, right? But we should talk about IHC here, and I think we always miss the point of discussing how big, giant IHC is. And the other day I looked at one of their portfolio companies. I was like, we need to talk about it. How big is it? And IHC is 1,400 companies.
Yo, say that again.
1,400 companies.
What?
IHC
That's
holding
crazy.
company has 1,400 subsidiaries. We always listen about like the big ones, but let me tell you, this is just a list of their listed companies which are under them. So Alabbar is one, Alseer Marine, Alpha Dhabi Holding is one, Easy Lease, Emirates Stallion Group, Ghida, which recently combined and they made 2.0, Multiply Group, we all talk. See, imagine we think Multiply Group is so big, right? It's led by the woman, I forgot her name.
Sara Abu Azouza?
And she now became the head of 2.0 Holding, which is a merger of 3 listed companies of theirs. So imagine it's just one company out of the 1,400 that they have. Then they have Palm Sports, Pure Health. Pure Health is also led by a Pakistani woman, Shaista. I don't remember the second name, but she's very big in this circle. Then you go to food and agriculture. They own Alan Farms. This was surprising for me. Like, Alan Farms is IHC? I always thought Alan was a company, someone created the milk and all the dairy products.
Wow.
Alan comes under them.
That is
Hashmiya,
crazy.
Jarrah Fisheries, they're into fisheries. Alliance Food Company. Then you go to their education portfolio. They also have educational institutions.
Listen,
Aldar
honestly,
Academies and Al-Arabi Academy.
I believe it. This is exactly what Bashar came and said. He said, I will go to my dead grave building this company. This is what he told the Financial Times. But I think also with this Majid, it definitely is the influence of His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon,
Yes.
the UAE's national security advisor and the brother of the UAE president. Because, you know, we constantly, a lot of articles have come out on him, of him managing over $1 trillion in wealth. He chairs most of the sovereign wealth funds in the UAE. But I think it's a fact of, if this man was not as responsible and intelligent as he was, this much money and this much power would not be placed in his hands.
Yeah.
And I think that this is very telling of the kind of leader he is and the kind of influence that he has had. But I think, you know what this made me think of? When I was at North Star and I was watching the speech the panel between Fadi Ghandour and G42's HR executive, their HR chief. G42 is also chaired by His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, and she said that they hire 4,000 people a month. What?
Now you know.
Excuse
1,400 companies,
me?
obviously they will.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
But why would they put them all together under one, company?
See,
That's definitely going to make their spreadsheets look better.
It's
going to make
like
their numbers look better.
A lot of companies, they own directly, completely. One is Lunate. The Lunate story is very interesting because I remember Expand North Star story. Me and Rich went last year when we were not media partners, and on the way back he had to go to some event, and we were looking at news, and he said, like, imagine, Majid, there's so many companies in UAE, and he was reading a Lunate story, and Lunate was formed like a month ago, and they did their first investment. Now that company has 400 billion dirhams under assets under management. That is one company. Just imagine the size of IHC. Burjeel Holding, they have, I think, Burjeel Hospitals. Shah Rukh Khan is the brand ambassador. My wife told me that. And Burjeel Holdings, they have invested in that. That's the health portfolio. There is Lulu Bank in Colombia. They own the bank. So it's like, I still have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 tabs open, which are just the industries that they've invested in. They have healthcare, they have hospitality. Hospitality, they have, I'll take the famous name whichever comes up, Celavi. They've invested in Celavi, and Celavi is under Alpha Dhabi. So it's not even a direct subsidiary, it's a subsidiary of a subsidiary. So it's that also. Shival Blank, I don't know, maybe you know this name. But just look at this. It's such big. They're into media also. IHC has Backlight. It's a specialist out of home media, basically the banner. Then Firefly, Media 247. Whenever you go to Dubai Harbour, you see a Media 247 board there. Media 247 is under them, and Viola Communications is also under them.
This is crazy.
Just imagine the size of this company. And as she said, 100% agreed with her that outside companies coming, investing, taking investments from them, making them a part of their group. Actually, they want that expertise of handling 1,400 companies invested in them. So it doesn't only bring the money, it actually brings the experience.
It's a mutually
right?
symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all of our social media channels at Smashi Business. And stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You can find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our more than 2 million monthly listeners across all platforms. Make this possible if you're one of them. We appreciate you. Have a great, great day. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.